Hello and welcome to the new video. Today we're going to take a look at another rank 1 in the world team, this time around from Tetsuo, so congrats to them on hitting rank 1 in the world with this team. But they also said that they only played a few games with this team, so we have to kind of try out today if this team actually works out well or not. And there are definitely going to be some kind of issues for this team, as you're going to see already with Tapu Fini. While you can still deal with it, you're going to see it also a little bit later on most likely as well. It can be a little bit tricky. But in general, I have to say, this team worked out super well for me. You're going to see here uncut the first 2 sets that I played with this team. So you're going to see directly here how this is going to kind of function. And honestly, worked out fairly well. Like, this team is definitely something that you can run, but there are going to be weaknesses, which you're going to talk about as well. But also, what I have to say, they did not run the shadow versions of any of those Pokemon. They ran the normal variants. I just don't have the normal variants. So I'm kind of forced to use like Shadow Gliscor, Shadow Poliwrath as well, because I don't have the normal ones built, and I'm kind of a little bit, no, I don't have that much Stardust, I have to say that. So we're going to take a look here at the Earthquake hitting the opponent's Tapu Fini, and like this, at least this Pokemon is not going to be an issue, and we're going to be able to still win the first game. Let's take a look at the next game. We're going to have a Garian weezing in the lead. This is actually really interesting, to be fair, because it's not as black and white as you might expect. You have a fighting type against a poison plus fairy type in the lead, but most of the weezing's movesets are the brutal swing plus the overheat, which of course your lead of Poliwrath would actually be able to do pretty well against. So not even sure if you would lose the matchup. So honestly, it could have stayed in as well, but it's always a gamble. If they have play rough, you're going to die. So like, that's going to be a little bit of an awkward one. But here they are running the brutal swing, and I'm going to be able to actually get them fairly low here with my Giratina. Not going to be able to realign. I'm not going to risk my shield there. They're actually going to be able to still get to another charge move here, which looked like that they shouldn't have gotten this move off when I played the game, but looking back in it definitely seems fair there. And sadly, we're going to have the worst possible backline for us, as we're going to have 2 water types and 1 part ghost type. So there's not going to be a lot that I can do here. I might be able to hit an Earthquake, which would knock them out, but I'm going to decide to go for the bait. We are running Wing Attack, which is kind of interesting. I'm not sure if a Wing Attack is definitely better than the Night Surge on this Pokemon, but it's definitely an option, as we're going to be able to also hit something like Gliscor, which is going to come in clutch later on, but there were a lot of lags as well. We're going to see it here maybe as well. I don't know. It's going to be another Tapu Fini. Going to be a little bit of an awkward one. But there were a lot of lags as well against me this time around. I don't know why, like, the game feels so clunky right now. I'm not really too happy playing it right now. So I don't know. How's it for you? Is it also feeling that clunky for you? I can't wait, by the way, for the new season. I'm really kind of looking forward to the new season already, as we're only going to have 2.5 weeks left now at this point, which is going to be not as much. So we're most likely going to get news for the new season already in like 1.5 weeks or something, which is going to be interesting. So there's a lot to come on my channel as well. So definitely, if you enjoy this type of content, if you enjoy some more insights towards the new season or like potential changes, then feel free to leave a like. I have some videos planned as well towards kind of those topics, so definitely stay tuned for them. Here we're going to be able to go up against the Tapu Fini, where we can still go for an Ice Punch now against the incoming. I think it was a Charizard. Let's see. It was a Charizard. We can at least still go into our Gliscor. It's going to be still a tough one to deal with. Again, Tapu Fini is just a little bit of a trickier one for us to deal with, as the Blastman is coming through. But still, you're going to see it later on as well. We had some great matchups with this team. Like, for the first, for the first 2 sets, I went 7-3 with this team. So definitely something that you should try out as well. Here we're going to be able to just take this move, and maybe I can still farm them down. No, it's going to be the Blastburn, and so the opponent going to be able to win this one. Next game, great lead for us, basically perfect lead for us. Going to be the Greninja, but in comes now the Charizard. And honestly, I feel like for a lot of parts, I wish I had Ancient Power on my Giratina. Like, there were so many Charizards and Talonflames currently around, which I did not really expect. But at least I can go ahead and go for a bait here, which is going to get the shield, and I can now go into the matchup with Giratina with a shield advantage. Giratina can easily take 2 charge moves from Charizard. There's no issue with that, maybe even 3, because the opponent is not Shadow. But here, as you're going to see, I can just go for my own Dragon Claw as well, and I should be able to outspeed them to the next one afterwards. So we're in a fairly decent spot there, but they should be able to swap out soon as well. But as we can see, we can go for another charge move, and this is going to get the knockout against the opponent's Charizard, allowing us to realign, as well as the opponent is still forced to go for a charge move with their Greninja against me. So I can go for the Dragon Claw, weaken them a little bit, and I can even reach another Dragon Claw in time. Gonna put them close to the red health range here as well, which is going to be amazing for me, as now the opponent going to go for their charge move and knock me out with that. But they could have even overfarmed by a little bit more now, because they know that I was energy dry. But I can swap out into my Poliwrath, get some counters in. I can go for one Ice Punch against the opponent's Trevenant, and like this I can just swap out into my Wing Attack user and go for the Wing Attack down. Like, if the opponent shielded there, I would have just went for my own Aerial Ace. If the opponent didn't shield here like this, we can just go for the full farm down. There was literally nothing that the opponent can do at this point anymore, and I can just go for 2 Aerial Aces and knock out here the opponent, let the first move go through already, and we can move on to the next game. Next game is going to be a great lead for us. It's going to be the Sand Slash as the opponent swaps out into the Giratina. I decide to stay in and go for an Ice Punch again, just try to weaken the opponent. I feel like this is like the biggest benefit of this team, or like biggest benefit of the Shadow Poliwrath lead right now. You're able to basically always get like some kind of shield advantage, or some kind of switch advantage, or like some kind of energy advantage, something like this all the time, because you can just stay in and you have great coverage on this Pokemon. You have decent bulk on this Pokemon, and you still do a ton of damage. So here, for example, we were able to get a shield advantage, which we're going to take for sure, as we can now go for the Dragon Claw, as I think the opponent swapped out here just now. This was a little bit awkward. It's going to be the Sand Slash, which is really bad for me. And here I think there was a game that lagged as well. I want to go for the charge move, didn't work out. Here I didn't get my extra fast move in, so basically I already got denied a ton of damage here, which it really comes in clutch, because I would have been able to farm them all the way down here without it. Like, if I just got the Dragon Claw off, and if I would have got off the extra counter, which I should have got off, I would have been able to just win this. I wanted to swap here, as you saw on the right side. I was not able to. Like, the game literally completely screwed me over the entire time, which is just absolutely wild. It's just so clunky, does not work at all. I don't get a fast move in, I don't get my charge move in, I can't swap out and lose my charge move as well with that, which just makes it so bad. I had to predict that the opponent swaps out here, which works out well for me, and here Aerial Ace really comes in clutch. But honestly, like, this game should have been over long ago. Just Niantic basically kept the opponent in here. That was madness. That was the first game that I played with this team as well. Let's move on now. Let's take a look at the next opponent. Here, by the way, again, it's like the first 2 sets I played with this team, but they're not in order, like, they're just randomized. So that's, if you wonder why this was like the first battle, even though it was like the 5th battle of this video. It always happens in my videos, because I just put them into my editing program and they just sorted out. I don't know how, but yeah, we're going to see here a pretty bad matchup for us. We're going to see the opponent's Pidgeot. This is going to be a little bit of an awkward one, because Pidgeot is going to run actually Gust here, which is going to do a ton of damage, as well as the Feather Dance going to drop our attack. We're going to try to keep some energy, I think, on our Giratina. And as you're going to see here right now, I'm going to decide to go for another charge move, but I'm going to later on swap out into my Poliwrath, because my opponent's play here apparently is to farm me all the way down. So I decide to just keep 2 charge moves. And I'm predicting that this is not a Brave Bird, but the Feather Dance, which works out amazingly for me, as the opponent decides to swap out into their Galvantula. Maybe should have tried to go for a Scald instead of the Ice Punch, because Ice Punch does not do enough damage. But the opponent still decides to throw a charge move anyway, so I'm going to be fine here, as I would have actually got there to the to the Scald anyway, so that was kind of awkward. But I can now farm them down here with my Gliscor, so it's going to be a very decent one. We can knock out the opponent's Galvantula, and the opponent's Pidgeot is coming back in, which is going to go for the Feather Dance. I use a shield, which is a little bit awkward. I can still go for a charge move here. I might have been able to even go for 2 charge moves if I played a little bit better and went for mine immediately. But I can go for the full farm down. In the back, we're going to see the Toxicroak lurking, which is amazing for us, as we're going to have access to Aerial Ace, which is going to do some super effective damage against the opponent, allowing us to use our shield against the Mud Bomb, which does not do enough damage anyway, and this is going to be game. So let's move on to the next game. We're going to encounter here the biggest weakness of this team, and this was something that I kind of want to talk about as well. Like, again, here we kind of want to showcase if this team is good or not. It is really bad if you're going to encounter a Fairy type Pokemon in the lead, in terms of like a Charmer especially. You can still deal with Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini is not even the biggest issue of this team. It's honestly like Charm users are really tricky for you to deal with. Here we're going to be able to still kind of realign at least, because the opponent goes into that Charizard. I decided to use a shield here, which was actually kind of smart, I would say, because the opponent goes for a Dragon Claw there. I can go for my own Dragon Claw. The opponent knows that I'm not going to knock them out with that, but I can still reach the next charge move in time, because I was in a 4 fast move circle basically for the next Dragon Claw, and so I'm going to be able to knock them out. and we're going to encounter Talonflame in the back. And at this point of time, I know already, this game is over. They can just freely go for the Brave Bird there. There's no reason for them not to do that. And they can swap out into the Ninetales, and I can just go for the shield bait. But yeah, like honestly, I guess it's smart from the opponent as well to not use a shield here. Because like Talonflame with 2 shields, like what really beats it? Maybe some kind of Smackdown user, but who's using Smackdown in the Ultra League? No one does. So yeah, like this is going to be it. Kind of want to make a video about something that counters Charizard as well as Talonflame right now, because I feel like they are everywhere. But yeah, we're going to be able to just go for the Aerial Ace here, still trying our best, but there's no lot that I can do about it. And they're gonna go for a Brave Bird here and knock me out. So good game there to the opponent. Let's take a look at the next opponent here. Let's see what they're going to run. Hopefully not another Charmer on the lead. It's going to be a Swampert in the lead. This is fairly decent for us, but the opponent makes a great play here, as you're going to see soon. We're going to try to just go for the Scald immediately to get the debuff, because otherwise they would have got to the Earthquake in time, but they decide to swap out into their Giratina, and sadly, I am not even going to be able to get the debuff here with my Scald, but I can still swap out into my Gliscor, which does not really appreciate the Swampert, so I feel like this was the right call. And I'm fairly certain that the opponent does not go for a shield here, and they do not, because everybody expects that I have Night Slash on my Pokemon. So Night Slash would be basically better to no shield the first one, and so they decided to no shield the Earthquake, which is really cool for me. So that's a great matchup that kind of shifts around a little bit because of the change from Night Slash to Aerial Ace basically as well. But you can actually even make this play if you don't have Aerial Ace, if yeah, just basically people expect Night Slash in those scenarios where Night Slash is super effective. And if you just go for the opposite move there with Earthquake, which is at least stab, it's definitely going to do a little bit more damage, I would say. Here we're going to encounter Charizard. Charizard is going to be, again, a little bit of an awkward one. And again, I wish I had like some kind of Smackdown user or whatever. But as you're going to see here, the opponent is going to use a shield. I can still let this next move go through, but I feel like they're going to outspeed me to the next one. So it's going to be a little bit of an awkward one here, especially as the opponent is going to go there and win the CMP tie. I can still get to my Dragon Claw. This should get the knockout if they let this move go through, and they do let this move go through, allowing me to align my Poliwrath against the Swampert. And honestly, I basically misplay everything that I could misplay here at this point, as I'm going to go ahead and let this first move go through, expecting a bait. It was not a bait, but luckily Poliwrath is just literally punching through the meta here. Going for the Ice Punch should get them low enough that I can counter them down, or even it just knocks them out, honestly. Let's take a look at the next opponent. We're going to encounter a very good lead force. It's going to be the Cobalion, but sadly they're going to run, I thought it was the Tapu Fini, it's the Primarina in the back here, where I can still try to go ahead and go for basically some Aerial Aces later on, because we're going to get them low anyway. So here we're going to be able to just go for the bait. Hopefully they're going to shield. They do not, but I can get a ton of energy still. And so I get out of this matchup with an Earthquake Start, which is going to be amazing for Cobalion. As you're going to see here, it's going to get needy, the knockout. I can still go for the Aerial Ace in time. And like this, the, Aerial Ace variant of Gliscor is going to be able to get 2 knockouts here, and it's just the Giratina in the bag, which is going to be still a little bit of an awkward matchup, not gonna lie, but still we're going to have 3 Pokemon while the opponent has 1 Pokemon, so it's looking really decent for us at this point. We can still go for the Dragon Claw. I'm not really too worried about anything here. I just want to get basically both shields from the opponent at this point. The only thing that really could screw me off here would be if they are running Shadow Force. Shadow Force might be able to one-shot my Poliwrath there in the back after a little bit, so that might be a little bit of a trickier one if they just bait me with a Dragon Claw and then go for the Shadow Force. But if they just have standard Dragon Claw, like there's no lot that they can really do about it. And as you're going to see here, you're going to get some decent damage onto them. I wanted to actually swap out there, but yeah, the game also didn't really want me to. So here we're going to get the shield up against the Dragon Claw, and as you can see here, I can still survive another one. I'm basically at the move already, and I can go for the Ice Punch in order to knock out the opponent and win this game. Ice Punch Poliwrath, so strong right now, not gonna lie. Let's take a look at the final battle of this video. I have to say that I actually made another, I did already the battles for another video with a similar team to this one, which also was from a rank 1 in the world player, so might come into my channel eventually as well. But here we're going to be able to go for the Shadow Sneak against the opponent alone in Sandslash. Does not really look too good for us. We can try to go for more Shadow Sneaks later on here as well, as we will see the Ice Punch coming through. I might just want to realign, honestly. So let's see what we can do here. We're going to be able to go for the Shadow Sneak and do some decent damage. I try to go for my Dragon Claw here, but the opponent is going to go for the CMP time. I'm going to use a shield, and the opponent going to go ahead and go for the Ice Punch. And I think they're also going to go ahead and use a shield here, as I'm going to also use a shield here because I kind of want to realign. So 2 shields down basically here for me, but at least I'm going to have switch advantage, which can become in clutch, as the opponent going to have a Gliscor in the back. I can actually even still reach the Dragon Claw with 1 HP, which is amazing, as I now get some damage onto the opponent, which is actually kind of huge, as I can go for the Ice Punch against them. I thought that they would try to swap out here, but they didn't, so I'm just gonna go for the Ice Punch, gonna get the shield from the opponent, and like this, I can just let this move go through. It's mostly going to be the Earthquake, and I have to swap out afterwards, but Gliscor is looking really in a decent position here right now, because the opponent's Gliscor is in range of 1 Aerial Ace. The opponent actually runs Nicers themselves, so like they're not even doing as much damage as I do, as well as they're going to have the Toxicroak in the back, which is going to get one-shotted by just 1 Earthquake. I'm going to overfarm by quite a bit here, which is actually super important, as you're going to see as well. I have 6 attack, I think, on my Gliscor, and like this, I win the CMP tie in order to win the final game of today's video. Hope you enjoyed this one. Team worked out super well, a little bit scary against like Charm users in the lead, but this is going to be it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.